Good morning. Welcome back to Passionate World Talk Radio. Educate, enlighten, entertain. And this morning on Cool Your Heels, we have the honor of having Jim Kukral on our show, and he's going to be talking about creative marketing and branding. So good morning, Jim. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, Lillian. Thank you for having me on the show.
Well, you're very much welcome. We know that with the C virus and now with everybody in lockdown, marketing has taken a new leap into the unknown. So what kind of advice do you have for people who have never had to do anything on the internet?
Well, I've been saying for years, Lillian, that, there's never been a greater time in the history of the world to build an online business, to build a brand, to easily attract customers, to make money and be free of having a boss, right? That has not changed with the coronavirus world right now. As a matter of fact, some people are being forced into that, right? There is still a great opportunity out there to build a business online, to teach what you know, to solve problems for people, and right now to do marketing, to double or triple down on your marketing, which is what a lot of very smart businesses are doing during this time. They are going out and being really proactive to new and existing customers, and that is going to do them well moving forward into the future for sure.
So the first thing a person has to decide is who their target audience is before they can even start marketing.
Yes, and it's business 101. You have knowledge or you have a solution to a problem, and then you find a way to offer that to a person, whether that's over the internet or through social media specifically or through your website or whatever, even if it's retail in person. You solve a problem for somebody. And, I always say, take the information that's in your head and put it on the web, right? Take that information and translate it to somebody, and there's a business right there.
Exactly. So one of the first things they would have to do then is to ask the question, what particular problem am I going to solve to get my client or potential client out of pain?
Yes, and you are so right about the pain. I talk about the pain index very extensively in the books that I've written and the consulting that I do. And when it comes down to it, is that everybody has pain, whether it's they don't know how to file their taxes, or they don't know how to cook Eggs Benedict, or whatever it is. And human beings, our genetics are, we try to find a way to overcome the pain. And then we have this pain level. So when you go to the doctor and you have, for example, I had kidney stones, and I walked in and they said, what's your pain level on 1 to 10? And I said, well, look at my face. It's an 11, right? When your pain level is extremely high, you will do almost anything to overcome that pain. So I'll give you an example. If you really don't like the job that you have or the boss, and you feel you're being undervalued and you don't like going into work every day, your pain level could be at a 7, 8, 9, or 10. And every single human being has a threshold for how much pain they're willing to take. So you might stick with that job at a 7. You might even stick with it at an 8. But when it gets to a 9, you might say to yourself, no, I got to find something else. So the analogy is whatever your pain level is usually the trigger method that's going to cause you to take action. And in some cases, that means going out and starting your own business, becoming an entrepreneur because you don't like your job, or maybe just in a general sense, it just means you paying somebody to help you do something because your pain level is just so high. For example, I am not a numbers person. I do not like financials, and I overpay to my accountant and tax teams to handle it 1,000% for me because my pain level is at a 10 for that, and I'm willing to pay for that. So once you understand that concept and you can solve a pain for somebody else, you can have a successful business.
And I think after the pain factor, the next thing you would have to decide is how you're going to stand above your competitors. In retail, brick and mortar, it's location, location, and location. But in the internet, it's competitor, competitor, competitor.
Well, yes, and about 11 years ago, I wrote a book called Attention, and the premise of that book was the loudest, the funniest, the first to market will be the winner because they stand out in those ways. Now, those lessons still do apply in some ways. However, 11 years later, the follow-up to that book is a book I wrote called Unskippable. And basically, we're living in a little bit of a different world right now, right? I mean, being first, having free shipping, having traditional benefit-based marketing things like free shipping and lower prices, those are not good enough anymore, Lillian. What people are looking for now is more. Like, they expect free shipping. They expect great customer service. They expect all of those things. And customers now are making decisions to purchase and have brand loyalty to, it doesn't matter if it's a retail store or an online, big trillion-dollar business. They are making decisions to choose to do business with people that share their common beliefs, that go beyond just the traditional benefit-based marketing efforts that they already expect. And that's the new world we're living in.
And that's the world in which people really need to become aware of. For example, I own an internet radio station. Well, so does about 5 billion other people. What distinguishes my station above everybody else's? And that's when you really have to decide how much of yourself and of your host you're going to put in the initial blend to offer to your clients and your potential listeners.
Yeah, and you're successful. The station is successful because you do an amazing job of providing specific content that solves a pain level for a specific audience, which is exactly what you do. And that's what makes you stand out above everybody else who is not doing that. Plus, just your passion for being able to communicate and wanting to help people as a communicator, right? That shines through.
I'm genuine. Somebody said to me, God, you can hear it dripping, drooling over everything. And I said, well, that's who I am.
Exactly. And the authenticity of that shines through. People, now more than ever, people can spot a fake, right? They can spot, they know the difference between an ad and what's not an ad, right? So the whole concept of content marketing, which is where you create white papers and podcasts and books and content, people know that those are ads, right? So when Subway comes out with a podcast, they know that at the end of the day, this is really a big ad for the company, right?
Yes.
Does it provide value? Is it unique? Is it different? Does it really truly help people, or is it just an ad? And people can sniff that out. They can sense it.
And there's a difference. Now, do you still believe that people need to put together a marketing plan?
So in a general sense, yes, but I have a degree from the University of Akron in public relations from a million years ago, right? The standard things that you need to do to be successful are just taking action, right? I'm a self-made solo entrepreneur, right? Never once have any of the successes I've ever had in my 20-plus year career on the internet building online businesses have I ever sat down and wrote a 40-page marketing plan, okay?
Yeah.
This is about doing. This is about understanding the core principles of why people buy, how to solve problems for people. I believe, and this is just me, that things like trying to come up with a complete marketing plan are the things that stop people from being successful. People say, well, I'm not going to start my business yet because I've got to work on this 40-page marketing plan first. Really? For who? Who's this page got to be? You know what? Here's how to be successful on the internet. Solve a problem, do something better and different than everyone else, create a quick website, put it up there, go on social media, start promoting it to people. You could literally start a business in the next 20 minutes. You could go online and build a Facebook page and go to a free web builder like Wix or something, build a website, and you could literally go in front of hundreds of millions of people on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and everything else and put your stuff out there and make a sale in the next 15 minutes. That is an unbelievable power that you have that other businesses haven't had for the longest time before the internet, where they had to spend 20 to 30 years to build a brand, to spend money on advertising, yellow page ads, all of these things. Everyone can do this, and you can do it fast, but you just got to sit down, get past all of the things that are stopping you, like marketing plans, and just sit down and do it. And guess what? If it doesn't work, adjust it and move on and try something different. Figure it out.
So with all these gurus then who are on the internet offering you how to market, how to sell this, how to brand that, is it all just smoke?
Well, there's certainly a lot of, I'm in the internet marketing business. There's certainly a lot of people out there who are offering, stuff that is not high quality, right?
Yeah.
The good news is that you no longer ever have to be burned by anything again, because it's very simple to do your due diligence on the internet nowadays, right?
Yes.
You can easily go online, and if somebody's trying to sell you a $1,000 course on how to start a online restaurant business or whatever, you can easily go do that research and look at their past customers and research. So spend some time. Don't make impulse purchases on high ticket items. But yeah, you can figure that out, and you're gonna get burned at some point, right? If it seems too good to be true, sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not, right? I've invested a lot of money in myself in the last 20 years, over 6 figures in courses and programs, and there's been some of them that were not worth the while. But I will tell you that the ones that I did invest in, that I actually put forward and moved on, were the ones that changed my life, that changed my career, that provided 70 to 80% of the income for my family for years and years and years. At the end of the day, what it really comes down to for anyone who's listening here is action, is following through. What most people do when they go out to learn something is that they think that there's the magic button. They think that, well, if I spend $500 on this course and I just click the buy button, that means I'm going to be successful. No. You actually have to go in and do the work. A lot of internet marketers who produce courses and things like that prey on that concept because they know that 75% of the people who buy are never going to follow through. And that's very difficult. But is that really their fault, that somebody bought their course and didn't actually do the work? You could argue both ways, but if you want to be successful in the internet business, you're just getting started, you're younger, now is the time to just take action and try. What do you have to lose?
If nothing else, go over to your social media group. I know from what I see on my son and his wife's Facebook, everything that happens in their family, they post it. So they got thousands of friends. I got to tell you something. That's how she started her jewelry business.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's very successful. Why? I can make jewelry for you, and the most expensive piece will be $25. And not only this is how I'll do it in addition to you if you buy before, blah, 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 blah. Folks, she supplemented her income with it. I mean, she loved doing it, and she was good at it. But the idea was she decided she would do jewelry marketing one day, and a week later, she already had a constant customer base of over 100 people. How? Mostly her friends, because they were already there. They already knew each other.
Yes. And, the other thing for people to consider right now, especially in this COVID world that we're living in right now, is there is the disruption, right? There is a disruption happening in the world right now. Business opportunities are being created right now. There are going to be, 50 to 100 companies that come out of this that are going to be big time, multi-million-dollar brands or bigger. There's going to be plenty of Ubers and Netflix and companies like that are going to come out of this crisis. And the reason is because they understood the disruption, they understood the changing of the business world, and they are going to capitalize on that. So for younger people listening to this right now, that is where you need to be thinking. What is the world going to look like in 6 months from now, in a year from now, in 5 years from now? how can you disrupt current business models? Let me give you an example. The most famous one is, of course, Netflix. The founder of Netflix tells this famous story about why he started Netflix. Well, he accidentally lost a VHS tape that he had rented from Blockbuster. And when he told them about it, they charged him $40. And he said, that's terrible, right? So he came up with a system of how to deliver DVDs through the mail. And eventually that turned into Netflix, right? He disrupted a system, right? What's happening in the world of online mattresses right now? Well, there's a company called Casper, that
Yes.
does not have showrooms, right? I mean, they don't have traditional places to go and you talk to a salesperson because people don't want that anymore. They don't want to go in and deal with the salesman trying to upgrade them. They have showrooms you can go and lay on a mattress, but then you go online, you order it. And you order it, they deliver it to your house. They come in, they put it in your bedroom. You sleep on it for 100 days. If you don't like it, if you're not happy with it, they'll come and pick it up, right? Carvana.com, disrupting another terrible experience. People don't like to go to car dealerships, right? So they don't like dealing with the pushy salesperson. They don't like dealing with that. So Carvana, you go online, you pick the car you want, you buy it, you get financing online, they deliver it to a big online vending machine that's near your house. You go there and you get your car down and you drive it home, right? You're eliminating the experiences that people don't want to have. And I would argue that now, even more than ever now, the concept that people don't want to leave their homes is going to be even a bigger thing. So if you're thinking about building a business, how do you think about where you create a business where people don't want to leave their house? Because literally at this moment right now, they can't. But in the future, there's going to be a ton of more people who don't ever want to leave their house. And how do you create a service or a product that allows them to get what they want without having to leave their homes?
And in addition, what people are really uncomfortable with. One of the things that I'm working on to develop as a sideline is that people are dying. Hey, folks, I bet most of these people don't have anything in plan for what happens when they died because they didn't think they would die. Therefore, they don't have a last will or testament. They don't have any estate plans, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I'm already helping people with information about that they would not normally have thought of because who thinks about death? I mean, that's a taboo subject in our society. Who talks about wills and last testaments or living wills? I mean, who talks about anything? No one. And yet, the problem is if you're in a crisis and half your block just died because they were not immune to the illness that's spreading through, what happens to their loved ones? I don't know. We never thought about it. We never thought it would happen to us. And that's the whole point. It can't happen to me.
Well, preventative marketing and products is a very difficult thing, right? That's
Yes.
Things like insurance and living wills, because you're exactly right. People, it's not a present threat, so they don't actively seek for a solution to that pain. But in times like this, they're absolutely, you're dead on. Sorry for the pun there.
That's okay, because that's how people create their online businesses. They
Correct.
look for what is not being done for the public. And the public is lazy. If they don't want to have to do homework, they don't want to spend hours trying to figure out what is wrong with their society or culture.
Well, you nailed it right there. Is one of the golden rules of creating a business, and not just online, is the fact that once you understand that people could figure it out themselves, but they really just don't want to. And they're willing to pay someone to do it for them. Could I figure out how to do my taxes? Yes. Do I want to? No. I have no desire to ever do it. And I will pay a premium for it just so I do not have to be part of that pain. And that once you understand those types of concepts, you really become knowledgeable about how to solve a specific problem for people, and you can understand how to build a business and maybe even disrupt a current industry, which is really the most powerful way to be thinking about things right now. I have a friend who is starting a business where he has a fleet of electric cars. And the electric cars, he's going to rent them out to gig workers like Instacart people. And he's going to charge them $80 a day. And here's your car, and you can use it however you want to use it, but you're going to give me $80 a day. And now you can go out and deliver Instacart grocery orders to people. And so your costs are $80. And anything you make over $80 that day, you get to take home. And he makes $80, per car per day. These are the disruptive things that your brain needs to get into and start thinking about, especially in today's world, because if you could come up with that one disruptive idea, then you can build the next Netflix, the next Uber. Now, maybe it doesn't have to, you don't have to shoot for being a $1 trillion company, but think about this. What if you developed one idea that allowed you to make $50,000 in the next 12 months, or that allowed you to have a business for the next 10 years where you could work without a boss from home, doing what you love, and you were able to pay your bills for your family, right, and stay safe. Like, that's the true power of being able to do something like this.
Yeah, for example, the people can't get out and go marketing. And you're saying, well, all they have to do is get a marketing delivery service. Most of those people are booked out for the next 6 weeks.
Yes.
So you have to wait at least 6 weeks to get your quart of milk that you were out of 3 weeks ago, while they have those library vans filled with books going into all the neighborhoods, so you don't have to hoof it down to the library. Well, create something like that in the grocery line and stock it with all the things that people can't get, and you go to the warehouses to go and get them. And I bet you would start making a lot of money covering the costs of what you're ordering and for the vehicle, whether it's electric or diesel or gasoline or whatever, but you would still make enough back because there's always the nursing homes, there are always the hospitals. I mean, even with the big deliveries, they're beginning to have problems having the deliveries come and deliver the food. So, hey, start your business that way.
Well, you're exactly right. And, I'm 48 years old. I have a family. I've got a mortgage and a car payment. I didn't become an entrepreneur until I was about 30, okay? I was in college, then I had, I owned some businesses technically, but I really wasn't a solopreneur until I was about 30. I wish I would have started earlier because there were so many things that I could have done before I had the responsibilities of a mortgage and family and, bills to pay, right? If I wish that I would have got the bug when I was 18 and up to I was 30, because there's so many things you can do right now that where you don't have the constraints of worrying about, mortgages and things like that.
You don't have the kind of responsibilities.
Exactly. There's, Mark Cuban, the guy from Shark Tank, was a friend of mine. He's been talking about for years, that now is the time when you're that age is the time to go out and specifically take shots and take chances. And I could argue that even more so right now during a crisis like this is exactly when you should be doing those types of things. Look, if you're listening to this, you have to make a decision. Are you going to go get a job if it exists? Are you going to go work for somebody else and hope that they don't lay you off? Are you going to start a gig business where you're doing gig hustle, Uber, Instacart? Are you going to do that? That's another option for you. Or are you going to create your own business? Now, I would make the argument that that's the better way to go because you're always in control of your success as opposed to waiting for Uber to lower your commissions or waiting for somebody else to control your life, right? I wrote a book called Business Around a Lifestyle, right? And the concept is you should always decide what you want your lifestyle to be first and then build a business around that. If you only want to work 10 hours a week, okay, well, how do you create a business that's going to allow you to do that? If you only need to make $50,000 a year, okay, how do you create a business that's going to allow you to accomplish that goal? And until you understand what you want, it's very difficult to accomplish a goal. You might say, I want to start a business that's a $50 million business. Great. Okay. Think about disruption. But you might say, you know what? I really am only really interested in covering my bills. I'm really only interested in making this much money so I can live the lifestyle that I want. And by the way, for a lot of younger people, when I say younger because I'm 48, younger people are into that type of thing right now. It's more about the lifestyle. There's a reason that younger people are not buying cars as much as my generation does, because they don't want car payments. They don't want to pay car insurance. It's much easier to just pull up your phone and order a Lyft or an Uber. There's a reason that IKEA, a $44 billion company, is testing out rentals, right? Their entire business model is selling you low-cost furniture and products. But guess what? Younger people don't want to own things. They would rather rent a couch than actually have the ownership of one. And that's just a mindset change. You know, the global workforce, 2/3 of it will be millennials by 2024. And a lot of corporations and businesses who employ people really need to start thinking about that, because the mindset of a millennial is a lot different than me, a Gen Xer. The mindset of a millennial is we don't want to own things, we don't want to be committed to things, and we definitely want to have our own schedule. And when you add this virus pandemic on top of all of that, it becomes even more of a thing, because you're going to see way more people who aren't going to take jobs because they don't want to go into an office, especially that younger generation.
And the other thing you need to think about, if you think it's impossible, they ran a story about a little 11-year-old boy down from Texas. His mom had cancer. She was a single parent, and she needed money for treatment. And there was nobody to pay for that treatment but out of her pocket. So what did this 11-year-old do? He wasn't the best bake in the world, but there was cookies that he could make repeatedly, and they always came out right. He sold, I think, $12,000-$15,000 worth of cookies around his neighborhood and around the city to get money to pay for his mom's treatment. And I really hope whoever is now talking to him suggests he go into the cookie business now. So by the time he becomes 20, he'll be well set up. But I decided that if an 11-year-old kid can do that, ladies and gentlemen, you have no excuses not to go out and at least try. And what kind of cookies they were? They weren't chocolate chip. They were just your regular oatmeal type of cookie. He used what he had at home, but he still made a business out of it. And it was his mindset that got him going.
Yes, and you're exactly right. You have to want this. You have to want to build a business, and you have to go into it with the right intentions. You know, the old mindset of, just to make money is not good enough any longer, because if you're just in it to make money, the customer will sniff that out very, very quickly. In my book, Unskippable, I spend a lot of time talking about what are called belief-driven buyers. 64% of consumers in today's world consider themselves to be belief-driven buyers. And a belief-driven buyer is a person who will make a decision to choose to support a product or a brand or a service based if that brand shares a common belief with them. For example, if that company believes in global warming and so does the consumer, they will make a decision to support that business because they share a common belief. In the world we used to live in, it used to be about, if you're a business or a brand or a personality, you would never talk about religion, politics, or anything like that, because those were separate. But guess what? It's all shifted. People want you to take a side now. People want to do business with people who share common beliefs. And if you can tap into your tribe, if you can, it doesn't have to be religious or political, but if you can tap into your tribe and understand what they truly care about, and you can communicate to them authentically that your product or service and your mission is to help with that, they will become lifetime customers. And that is how you build a successful business in today's world. I'll give you one example, okay? This is an unintentional example, but you ever hear of a company called Yeti Coolers?
Yeah, I've heard that, yes.
So Yeti cooler, it's a very expensive cooler, like a $300 cooler. It's not the cheap one you buy at the grocery store, right? So very expensive cooler. Now, the CEO of Yeti woke up one morning and he found out that because of some nonsense political thing, one of the major political figures in the world and an organization called the NRA said that they weren't going to support Yeti anymore because Yeti did this. Well, it turned out to be a bunch of you-know-what.
Yeah.
But what happened was all of the people who were supporting the NRA decided that they weren't going to support Yeti anymore. So they went out and they started doing videos of putting sticks of dynamite in $300 coolers and blowing them to smithereens. They started taking high-powered rifles and blowing Yetis apart, right? So the CEO of Yeti wakes up one morning and says, oh, my God, what happened to my brand? My business is going to die. I didn't have anything to do with this. I didn't do this. Well, here's a couple of things that happened after that. All of the people who had never bought a Yeti before, who are against that, went out and started buying Yetis. And his business spiked. It went through the roof. Also, one of his competitors, a company called Arctic, went out and started siding with the NRA people, and their business spiked. My point is this: even unintentionally, when you choose a tribe, when you choose a side, people will flock to you. So, do you always have to do it? No. But imagine, would you rather have 100%? Would you rather have 50% of the entire market or 100% of half of it? Right.
Right.
So, if you can tap into a tribe of people who believe the same thing you do, and you're authentic about it, those people will choose to use you for life. And that's a really effective way to do marketing in today's world.
Absolutely. And a tip for those who want to market to the millennials, because I do, they not only like to know how to get ahead in business, although they won't tell you that, but the other thing they really like, they like a company that gets involved with the community to achieve something good. And in these days, that's a really big deal.
Well, the belief-driven buyers, they don't believe that governments and politicians can solve the world's problems.
Exactly.
They are actually looking to brands for that. That's an amazing shift in where we are in the world right now. They believe that a company like Patagonia can do more to change the world than a political system or a politician, right, or a government.
Well, the government proved that.
Powerful.
I mean, if you take a look at what's going on in Washington, all of Washington, D.C., there's no direction there.
Exactly. And younger people, and I don't blame them, because the world that we've created for them is really not a world that, that they can trust. And they're turning to brands and businesses to help make that change over others. And if you can tap into that, if you can tap into that loyalty, you'll have a customer for life. And again, at the end of all this, as a marketing, as a business person, your goal is to build lifetime customers, right? You should look up a thing called 1,000 True Fans. Everyone who's listening to this, Google 1,000 True Fans. And the basic concept of this is, if you're a content creator or a business or a musician or an artist, if you can create a tribe of 1,000 true fans, you will never have to do marketing again. Because if you have 1,000 people who will always buy from you no matter what, even if you release a special edition and they already have it, they'll buy it. They'll drive 5 hours in a snowstorm to come watch your band play because they love you, even though they've seen you play 1,000 times. If you can create 1,000 true fans, you will never have to market again. And one of the ways to create a true fan is to share a common belief with them.
Absolutely. And for those who don't believe in what Jim is saying, listen to this. YouTube sent PWTR, Passionate World Talk Radio, a congratulatory note. People spend 438 minutes viewing our videos. 438 minutes is equal to 4 hours of staying on my YouTube channel and watching the videos. Do you know how rare that is?
Extremely.
Yes. That's what you need to do. Incidentally, I started my business when I was 55.
There you go, right? So
Yeah.
you don't have to, everyone gets their own start at their own pain point when it's their point in life to do it, right? So congratulations on your success. And the reason is because you're authentic and you are passionate. And people can feel that. And that is why you have true fans. That is why, I'll give you another analogy. Our attention spans are not decreasing. This is a common misconception and thread that people tend to talk about. They're like, oh, it's 2020. We're just all so distracted. Yeah, we're distracted. But our attention spans are not decreasing. Here's the thing. We've just decided, and we've become really good at deciding what we want to pay attention to. I'll give you an example of that. If you find a show on Netflix or Hulu or whatever that you like, and once you get through that filter in your brain that allows you to not pay attention to it, you will sit down and watch it for 10 hours straight, okay? You have an attention. So what's happening is you have to find ways to filter through that, and that's what your brain does. You have a thing in your brain called the reticular activating system, and what it does is it processes information instantly, and it tells you what you want to pay attention to and what you don't want to pay attention to. But once your marketing or product gets through that, people will sit down and they will watch 4 hours of your video on YouTube. And so that's exactly what's happening right there.
Yes, and you want to know why MeTV is so successful? Because everybody in the boomers plus the Generation Xers and even the millennials are all going to watch these programs, especially the cowboy movies, again. And they'll keep on watching them. That's why Columbo is so popular. Or some of the other, Hawaii Five-0, that they updated it for a 2020 version. And that's one of the reasons why things in the entertainment world do so well, because people are familiar with the old and they like to keep on seeing it regenerated. It makes them feel better.
Yes, and it makes them feel better, and the other thing is they like to get it when they want to get it, how they want to get it.
Exactly.
The other concept for people in our age group who grew up was, well, we're going to start a business and we're going to deliver it to you how we want to deliver it to you, at the price we want to give it to you, and you're going to just like it. Well, guess what? That doesn't exist anymore. Customers want it delivered how they want it, when they want it, and instantly. Another great example is Uber Eats. There are people right now who will buy a $5 sub from, Quiznos or whatever, and they'll spend $10 to have it delivered to their home. Now, me as a Gen Xer, the way I grew up, that is a mind-blowing concept. My father would roll over in his grave if I did that. You spent $10 to have a $5 sub delivered to your home? Well, no, I would never do that. But younger people, that's not an issue. They got no problem with that. It's more convenient to have something delivered, and they're willing to pay a premium for it. And they'll spend $10 to have a $5 sub delivered because it's just the way that they want it done. And when you understand that concept, especially for a target audience, you can build an amazing business around that.
Absolutely. So, Jim, tell everybody where they can find you on the World Wide Web, where they can find some of the books you mentioned today, all that good stuff.
Sure. Easiest way to go is just go to my website with the domain name beunskippable.com. Unskippable.com will take you right to my website. It's easier than spelling my name. Beunskippable.com. You can learn more about what I do, link to my books there. And thank you for having me on the show. I really loved being on.
Oh, I'm delighted that you can make it. And ladies and gentlemen, you can hear this interview all over again on https://passionateworldtalkradio.com. Menu, right-hand side. Scroll down till you hit Cool Your Heels, click on it, and voila. If you're digitally or technologically challenged, we have a sizzle line, phone line. Get your cell phone, punch in the numbers, and you'll hear the interview instantaneously. For others who are more adept at technology, you can hear us on iTunes, iHeart, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Spotify, to name a few, also on Amazon, Alexa, and you can also hear the interview on AMFM247.com. And before you go away and stray, Bernard Shaw had this to say in 1903, 2 starving men cannot be twice as hungry as one, but 2 rascals can be 10 times as vicious as one. Thank you all very much for listening. Please keep safe. Until next time, have a great day. Bye.